What's going on, golf fans? It's your boy Gsluke here with our DFS value plays for this week's Players Championship. Yesterday, we focused on the top end of the Draftkings pricing. Today, gonna look for some of those dumpster diver type of plays, some of those salary saving guys you can get to try and spend up for an extra stud or two in lineups, and of course, get some of that much needed ownership leverage down low. These players not only have a solid floor when it comes to making the cut, but should also have some top end upside to play with to potentially get to the top 5 like a Harris English did last week. Kurt Kitayama, while he wasn't featured on our value plays, was still a key piece of my player pool that I talked up to all the people down there in the Patreon and Discord. So looking into this week, looking to ride some of that momentum and try and go out there and repeat last week's performance. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get this thing rocking. All right, our first value at $7,800 going to be Sam Burns, who last week burned a lot of people, pardon the pun out there, with his 9 strokes lost on an approach. But luckily, I was just a slight investor there, got a little bit of leverage in those large field contests because Burns always brings the upside. He's got top 5, top 10 level ability with the ball striking when he's firing in all cylinders. And of course, one of, if not the best putters in all of the PGA Tour when it comes to this Bermuda grass with the overseed. Multiple of his wins have come on the surface, including back-to-back wins at the Valspar, which has the same exact kind of greens for next week's event. And spoiler alert, I'll probably be betting Sam Burns for that event too. But at $7,800 in this kind of field, compared to the guys around him, he has a lot more actual top 5 and certainly a lot more winning upside than everyone else around him. Because like I said, when he's going out there, getting into contention, firing in all 8 cylinders of that, heavy engine out there, he's capable of holding up with the top 3. I mean, we've seen him go head-to-head with Scotty Scheffler, beat him there at the Charles Schwab, boat race a field there at the Valspar. Last year, had that playoff against Davis Riley at the Valspar, but just proven winner, has won at the Sanderson Farms, has gone out there and spiked in, these kind of fields before. And I think that's the real differentiator here, is a lot of guys in this range that I think could finish top 10 this week. But if you're looking for that true ceiling performance, I don't want to say he's the only guy in this range that can get there, but he's certainly got the best chance of doing so. You take a look at the event history, he's only played here twice, so he doesn't have a huge record to go off of, but did finish T26 last year, missed the cut in his first ever trip. It's worth noting that through the first 2 rounds, Sam Burns was actually in contention at this event, so kind of fell off over the weekend there, but I liked what I saw, and it makes sense, right? These greens are where he's won multiple times. He gains over a stroke per round with the putter on this green surface. And you may say, oh, it's a small sample size. Well, it's actually not. He has over 40 rounds on these type of greens and still gains nearly 1.25 strokes per round. The shots gained metrics are heavily skewed because of last week. Like I mentioned, he lost 9 strokes on approach last week, and I can tell you that 4 of those strokes came on pretty much the same hole. He was hole number 6. He had 2 water balls in a row there on Friday. On Thursday, I also believe he put another water ball there on his approach shot there in the par 5. Just a lot of it was skewed downwards. Just take a look at a few starts before where he had the top 12 finish at a elevated field, and then nearly a top 5 finish at an elevated field at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. So we know that he's capable of going out there posting those top 10, top 15s, maybe even like the nearly top 5 finish from just 3-4 weeks ago. And I think people are going to overlook, I should say, maybe not overlook, right? The opposite. They're going to look a little bit too much into last week's performance, or maybe even the missed cut the week before that, and not really give him the credit he deserves. So these shots gain metrics, just realize that 1 round over the last 24 is really skewing this down. Outside of that, right, gaining across the board is typically a prolific gainer with the approach play. So just get back to that ball striking form that we know that he is more than capable of. He lights it up on these kind of greens. And at $7,800, I mean, if he goes out there and he gets into contention, gets even a sniff of his typical form, I absolutely love the play at what I'm hoping is going to be relatively low ownership. Next up, we've got ourselves 2 picks at this, same type of price point. We're going to focus on Sepp Straka before, but I really like Adam Hadman too. So typically, I like to spread out these value plays, right? Give you like a value in each range down here below $8,000, but I like these guys too much to avoid them. So first off, we got Sepp Straka at $7,200. Last week, sneaky performance, I have to say, there at the API. I don't think a lot of people were thinking about Sepp Straka, right? Missed the cut, but top 45 finish. He missed the cut on the number. And it's worth noting that Sepp Straka's ball striking was a whole lot better than what his score indicated. He was not the best putter last week, was like I said, hemorrhaging strokes quite notably there. But on this Bermuda with the overseed, gains about a half a stroke per round. It's worth noting that a few other courses with a similar kind of situation, TPC Southwind, similar kind of greens. Honda Classic sometimes has an overseed going over there. Of course, he won there 2 years ago when they had the overseed situation going. And another thing to note, right, those are both comp courses that I'm getting to this week. Courses that are mostly Bermuda, right? The Bermuda base here, over here for the players. Lots of water in play, right? Players Championship, 17 holes with water. Honda Classic, 16 holes with water. A few of the other tracks, like a TPC Southwind, right? He got into the playoff with Will Zalatoris just this last year. Has water in, I believe, like 14 or 15 of the 18 holes. So not only are they similar agronomically, but also from the ball striking perspective, a lot of similar visuals off the tee. And for whatever reason, Sepp Straka, maybe it's just his precision off the tee, his ability to avoid that water, tends to thrive at those kind of setups. So I know last week, right, like I said, it's a little bit under the radar. He, quote unquote, missed the cut there, but the ball striking, everything else was a lot better than what that finish really indicates. And the shots gain metrics back it up too, right? Any of his missed cuts have pretty much been on the number. Gaining on approach, gaining with the putter like we're used to with Sepp. Those are both of his strongest assets. Not the best around the green player, but off the tee, I think playing a little bit better than the shots gained indicates. So I'll be getting to him. The event history here, he also had a top 10 last year. So look at that, top 10 finish, right? Missed the cut his first time out. So similar course history to a Sam Burns. But like I mentioned during the core plays video, pretty much everyone here has an extremely volatile course history. So that's not too out of the ordinary. Love the skill set fit. Love some of the comp courses that have gone well for Sepp Straka. And again, I think people are going to look a little bit too much into that missed cut, and hopefully that gives us lower ownership on a guy who just the performance before, right? Top 5 finish at the Honda, like pretty damn decent. 45th over there. What was that? The Genesis the week before that. Another elevated field. He's actually coming in with pretty solid form, so I have to like that. Next up, we got Adam Hadwin, who, another player with sneaky good course history around here. You can take a look at this. Made 4 of his last 5 cuts. Top 10 finish last year, just like a Sepp Straka. T29, a top 30 finish there 5 years ago. And what I like, kind of like a Sam Burns, is he tears up these greens. He's another player who's won the Valspar Championship. Same type of greens that you're going to get here next week. Gaining close to half a stroke per round on that surface. And if you take a look at the shots gained metrics, he's been a lot better than most would think. He's gaining across the board, right? He's not losing in any one category, gaining a third of a stroke per round on approach, nearly half a stroke per round with the putter. And the recent form has also been a little bit under the radar. Like, I don't know why people are avoiding this guy. I know he missed the cut last time out. That was actually his worst performance in like 3 or 4 months. But before that, it was just a made cut machine. Top 10 finishes, I believe, for some of the weaker field events, especially in the fall swing. I mean, he was in the 9, even 10K range for a few events, and now we're getting him at $7,100 at a course that he fits, at a course that he has really good course history at, and no one wants to play him, right? It's like one bad performance last week, right, is going to take everyone off of him. And despite that, right, again, 24 rounds for this, the shots gained metrics here is not a large sample size, right? That's 6 events if you made the cut every single time. Adam Hadwin's still gaining across the board despite finishing in nearly last place there. So Adam Hadwin, sign me up for him. He's got the good course history. In terms of the course fit, he's relatively accurate off the tee. He's known for the approach play and the putting, which at this kind of track, that's what I'm looking for in these value plays. Very similar kind of skill set to a Sepp Straka, right? More of an accuracy guy off the tee than anything. It's not like they're short off the tee, have to say that, but they're more well known for that accuracy. And then the approach play and putting is what's really the main strong suit of each player, and they can lead into that. So both guys solid on this Bermuda with the overseed, similar kind of skill set. Just sign me up. Definitely going to be playing both, particularly if they're low owned. And now the last play we're getting to, way down here, is Davis Riley again. And there's something about Riley when he gets on a heater where he tends to sustain it. And a few weeks ago, right, we talked him up as a value play. He went out there, had like the top 20 finish. Last week, though, right, had the -6 nuclear day on Sunday, and if it wasn't for a dreadful day on Saturday, he would have won this golf tournament. I mean, he completely shot himself out of contention on Saturday. I believe shot like 5 over par, and then on Sunday shot 6 under par to get up there to nearly the top 10. So you take a look at this recent form, you'll see this mini heater that I'm starting to talk about, T8, T29, and that was after a dreadful stretch of golf. But ever since getting into 2023, maybe he's made a few changes, and I think maybe it's the agronomics, because last year, this is also when Davis, went off, right? Went on that stretch of golf where he was posting top 20s, and then he started posting top 10s. Then he had that like top 5 run, right? Where he had the top 5, I believe it was at, second place at Valspar. Then after that, I believe another top 5 finish. Just went on a run where everyone was just betting this guy outright, right? Like after a certain point, he was like 30% owned. He was getting down to like 20, 25 to 1 to win golf tournaments. And I think we're getting into that same stretch, right? The ball striking has been there. We've known that, but now the putting is coming along. He's always been gaining off the tee and on approach, albeit maybe a little bit more off the tee. So maybe not the sharpest off the tee over the last few events, but the putter was a huge negative for like the last 6 months. And now it's creeping back to a positive. And you can see on these greens, it's not just the Valspar where he's been successful. He gains over 3/4 of a stroke per round. So we would expect that just to continue to regress back to the positive there. The ball striking is always going to be there. This guy is an absolute striper, and though he doesn't have experience here, that's the one thing that I think he lacks, is he doesn't have the experience around here. This is his first ever time playing at TPC Sawgrass. At $6,500, he's way lower priced than he probably should be. And the reason why he's so lowly priced is because of that round on Saturday. Pricing came out that same day, of course, shot himself out of contention. So Draftkings plummeted the price down, right? And of course, on Sunday, has that 6 under performance, the 66 there. I think the round of the tournament, it's not round tournament, right? Round of the day there. And absolutely shot himself up my ranking. So love Davis Riley. I like the course fit. I like the putting numbers that we're looking at. And once again, like some of the other picks, I hope he stays relatively low in terms of the ownership. And if so, is somebody I'll be playing in bunches. All right, guys, that is all I've got for this week's value plays. Before you hopping out of here, go ahead, comment down below who you're taking as your top play below $8,000. And of course, smash that like button if you enjoyed. We'll be going live tomorrow evening at Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, covering everything I see at the Pro-Am tomorrow. I'll be waking up bright and early to get a look at that rough, take a look at the green speeds, perhaps take a look at some of the guys hitting on the range, all that sort of fun stuff. So looking forward to it. Make sure you are subscribed, like I said, so you don't miss any of that content when it drops. That'll include fades and sleepers dropping a little bit later on this evening. For access to all of my plays, all of my projections, modeling, ownership, etc., make sure to check out my Patreon page. There is also a link in the description to that. That is $10 a month, gets you access to all of those spreadsheets, all the information, and of course, all the prop analysis that I'm doing as well. So like I said, guys, I appreciate all the support here. You guys coming by, consuming the content. Make sure you leave a comment with your top value play. Show the love here on the video. And until next time, guys, best of luck with all of those DFS lineups, any of those outright bets you're going with. Hopefully, we can have the Eric Cole this week, right? That was a pretty banger pick last time. We had Harris English last week, and this week, if I had to pick my favorite value pick, my favorite option out of the bunch, maybe it's Davis Riley, right? Rides that heater. He might get a little bit of ownership because I think it's well-deserved, but I think he might be that banger value play this week that you want to get behind. But either way, let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll catch you guys next time.